One day in 1843, an archaeological team arrived in Kosovo. There was a Frenchman in the team named Paul Emile Botta. He was a scientist and also the consul of the Ottoman Empire. Botta saw the ruins of the royal palace. He stared at its dumbfounded. After he convinced that this was not an illusion, he immediately rushed forward. Exactly. And so, the relief paint on the limestone walls and the spectacular labazu on the both sides of the porch, but I realized that it was to shrink the fortress of the sun, the capital of the Assyrian king Sargon II. But I was still insane that he sent the Archon's message to war. I think I'm the first person to discover this. This relief dates back to the heyday of the Assyrian living. At this point, Assyrian civilization slowly entered the public consciousness.
Around the end of 1000 BC, a powerful empire characterized by the military culture was established. Their cities and palaces were built with strong walls to ward off enemy aggression. The doorways and walls of the palace are decorated with large statues and reliefs of gardens, illustrating the artist style and political purpose of the Assyrians. The statue of the guardian, known as Lamassu, is a winged human head bull that fearlessly guards the entrance to the palace. The reliefs are narrative images depicting the king hunting lions in royal gardens and conquering enemies on the battlefield in praise of the victory and virtues of the American king. The Assyrians also followed the Sumerian temple and pagoda architecture model, but they paid more attention to the size and magnificence of the palace complex. Another feature of Assyrian architecture is the installation of upright plasterboard called orthosars along the edge of low walls. These plasterboards both protected the mud bricks from moisture and wear and tear, also conveyed a message and promoted the prestige of the empire. Assyrian art is an imperial art of an propagandistic and public nature with the aim of promoting and maintaining the supremacy of Assyrian civilization, especially the military power of the empire. The ancient Assyria was located in the northern part of the two rivers between the Tigris River and the Euphrates River, which is now in Iraq, Turkey, and Syria. The history of ancient Assyria first appeared in the Sumerian period and has a history of more than 2,000 years, divided into three periods: Ancient Assyria, Middle Assyria, and Neo Assyria.
Ancient Assyria was an independent city-state centered on the city of Assyria, which maintained contact and competition with other city-states in Mesopotamia, including Sumer, the earliest civilization in human history, and the inheritance of Sumerian civilization, Babylon, Hittite, and Egypt. Commercial trade was very developed in the early days of Assyria, especially Sumer, which had long-term trade relations with Assyria, mainly involving metals, jade, spices, textiles, animals, slaves, and other commodities. promotes economic development and cultural exchanges between the two sides, but it also triggers conflicts and competition between the two sides. But that's a story for another day. Let's first talk about the politics of ancient Israel. Ancient Israel kings had little power, but that doesn't mean the king doesn't have any influence. There was a king who led ancient Israel to its peak. The most powerful king of the ancient Israel was Shamshi-Adad I, who conquered Mali, Eastern Asia Minor, and Central Babylonia, and called himself King of the World. But the good times did not last long, because Israel was not strong at the beginning and was still fighting with the powers of Mesopotamia. Eventually, it becomes vassals of the Mitanni kingdom.
Around 1400 BC, Assyrian Robot I teamed up with the Hittites to defeat the Mitanni kingdom, and finally got rid of the rule of the Mitanni kingdom and established the true Assyrian Empire. The Middle Assyrian period begins. This victory freed the Assyria from their dry situation. Assyria's moral increased, and it pushed its territory southward. The currently Nimrod I, he was a military genius who encouraged to conquest of the hill Assyria and occupy large area of Syria and Eastern Asia Minor. The power of the Assyrian Empire greatly increased, and it was no longer controlled vassal states. Adad-nirari I was a warlike king who brought a series of the military achievements to Assyrian states. Under his rule, the Assyrian kingdom began to play an important role in Mesopotamia, and he consolidated the rule of the Assyrian Empire and revolved clarity and religion. But it was not until Assyria broke up, because the Assyria continued to wage foreign wars. Arousing resistance and hatred, they were surrounded by enemy on all sides. Not only that, there are serious class conflicts and gap between rich and poor. Due to extreme inequality, the king faced threats of Assyrian society lack superiority and unity, and internal conflicts continued to break out. Eventually, Assyria was unable to strengthen its faith and began to decline.
Finally, the Spring Assyria finally arrived. At that time, the Egyptian Empire, the Hittite Kingdom, and the Babylonian Kingdom were either sunsetting or falling apart. Each country was in decline, but Neo Assyria had great news at that time. They had mastered rule-making. The technology officially entered the Iron Age and was widely used in military. It was quite crazy for a warlike country to obtain iron weapons, and that's not all. The Assyrians also used iron to invent long and short swords, axes, daggers, and trapports, battering rams, and other Neo-Assyrian forces formed the most advanced, lethal, and powerful armored army in the world at that time. The king gave an order to open the gate with a huge battering ram, and the whole group of armored rushed into the city. The huge stones from the tributes fell down the city wall like dominoes, one by one. The soldiers propelled the enemy's head into a hill. Assyria was victorious in every battle, and almost no one could stop Israel, Egypt, Syria, and Phoenicia. New Assyria fell one after another. The empire became a super military empire spanning the two continents of Asia and Africa. However, their strength was based on extreme violence, which led to people rebellion and uprisings in various places. The Assyrian Empire had exhausted its army to fight and encountered such a large-scale civil strife. The new Assyrian Empire gradually collapsed. The last dynastic monarch, Assyrian Urbankister, died. It was defeated by the Medes and the Babylonians in the Battle of Harran, and Nineveh was destroyed. The palace was burned, and the Neo-Assyrian Empire ended the chapter of his epic poem.
Every history has its own different stories. Ancient civilizations have always created many legends and epics. Some people fought, some were captured, and some were peaceful. History is not just history. Everyone, every king, and every battles are all true. All of them are things that happened in the past. The Assyrian Empire was built with totalitarian rule, war, and violence. Although the empire seemed prosperous, it contained a lot of pain. In the end, an uprising brought down this terrible empire. Perhaps you can look at the story today. Some people may think it's nothing, but don't forget that this story is alive. Everything is real, from the horrific massacre to the immoral slavery system. These stories have always taught us lessons. Don't forget the cause of violence.